We have our savior, Tayshia. They show a clip of Tayshia coming out of a pool and she looks amazing. Hi everyone, my name is Dimitri and welcome back to DimitriTube. In this video, we're going to review episode 3 of The Bachelorette. Was anyone else confused about this week's episode? If so, let me know below in the comments. Now, if you're enjoying these reviews, please pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. It helps me out a bunch with the YouTube algorithm. I will waste no time this week. Let's dive in and start talking about the episode because a lot happened this week. Now, to begin the episode, we're seeing a continuation of the cocktail party from last week's episode. So you all may not have caught this, but Clare has a short one-on-one with Damar, and Clare asks Damar how everyone felt about the dodgeball game. And Damar responds and says, "Oh, everyone's okay. It was fine. Maybe it's something we could tell about to our kids one day." And that was so cringy. Like, you have maybe hung out with Clare for like 10 minutes, and you're already talking about kids. Next, Clare has a one-on-one with Yosef. So Yosef confronts Clare about the dodgeball game and how he thought it was so inappropriate and so disrespectful. Now, before we get into this, Yosef and Clare are definitely not a match, but on camera, they look cute together. Aside from Yosef's personality, like just based on looks, I think they look cute together. Does anyone else agree? Or just me? Then Yosef says it's a lot for him to be here and he's missing out on time with his daughter. Clare replies, "I get it. My mom is dying." And Yosef immediately cuts her off. It was so terrible. And not only does he cut her off, he goes on and on about how he would have never done the dodgeball game. He would have never got naked. And he just goes on and on about that. And I'm just like, dude, we get it. You wouldn't have done it. Also, I do not like when people are like, I would have done this. I should have done this. I could have done this, because like, you were not in the situation. So we don't know, in fact, what you would have actually done. And also, Yosef is a hypocrite because the internet dug up a photo of him in his underwear on Instagram. And Clare eventually says, that's why you were not on that date. And basically she said that to try to get Yosef to try to move on to the next thing. But he just kept going on and on. Then Yosef continues to drag Clare. He calls her old, says she's a bad example for his daughter, and that he's ashamed to be associated with her. Then at one point, Yosef says, going back to the first date, you overreacted. This just showed that Yosef was still mad about that first cocktail hour when Yosef was like, let me speak for the group. And then Clare was like, no, I don't want you to speak for the group. Yosef was still mad about that. And he's been marinating on this for like 3 or more days or however long he's been there. And he even says he's been waiting on this time with Clare so he could tell her about herself. Then Clare sends Yosef home on the spot. And as Yosef is leaving, he continues to drag Clare and talk more mess about her. And he's yelling so all the other guys can hear it. Then Clare walks away, meets up with the producer, and says her famous line, "I would never want my children to have a father like you." Clare telling Yosef that was so lame to me. Like, you could have said anything and you choose to repeat the line you said during Juan Pablo season. Like, that was just so lame. And Clare, I thought you were over that and moved on. On the last episode, you burned the dress from that season on your date with Jason. I thought we were moving on. Then finally, we get the preview that we have seen at least 20 times. Guess what? I'm the oldest bachelorette that's standing here that's single because I didn't settle for men like that. Also, this dress that Clare is wearing is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. She looks amazing. So Clare walks off and some of the guys try to console her. This is important and I'll touch back on this later in the video, but it was specifically Easy, Jordan C, Jay, and Zack C. And my apologies up front if I'm talking a little fast for you guys. There was a lot that happened this episode and I'm trying to keep this review to as close to 10 minutes as possible, so please bear with me. Then Dale swoops in as Captain Save-A-Ho and Clare embraces him and starts crying in his arms, and Dale consoles her. Now, have you heard the saying, don't stack all your chips in one basket? Clare is literally stacking all of her chips in Dale. The dynamic Clare and Dale have is really weird. It's almost like Dale is the bachelor and Clare is just a contestant. Like, Clare is not making Dale work for it, like, at all. Clare literally has 30 other guys vying for her attention, and you think she would play like a little bit of hard to get, but she's not doing that at all. Then the camera pans to a confessional and Clare says, "Not even the second rose ceremony and I'm falling in love with Dale." Now this is really weird to me because I started watching on Colton season and I feel like whenever someone says, "I'm falling in love with you, I'm starting to fall in love with you, I'm falling for you," usually it's a contestant and it's almost like it's a strategy to get further in the competition. It's never really anything a lead says early on. So it's really weird seeing the lead just say that. Okay, now we're going into the rose ceremony. So Chris Harrison calms down Clare and then she says she just wants to go straight into the rose ceremony. I almost had a heart attack during this part because I thought she was gonna skip the rose ceremony. Now the first thing I noticed at the rose ceremony is, why are so many guys wearing sneakers? Ben, Demar, and Zack J are all wearing white sneakers and it looks so bad. Like, did these guys just forget their dress shoes at home or something? And then Clare is handing out the roses and halfway through the ceremony, she gives a rose to Ed. And I'm sitting there like, there's a guy named Ed? Where did he come from? Then Clare sends home like 4 or 5 guys, and this season, the ABC producers do not even care. Like, normally they post the guys' names as they're leaving, but they didn't even post the names. I'm literally sitting here looking at my note, looking at photos of the guys to try to figure out the names of the guys who got sent home. I am completely convinced the producers are over it and they're just ready for Tayshia to come in. Then they end the rose ceremony with a toast, and Dale does the toast, and honestly, it is probably the weakest toast I've ever heard in my life. Now we're seeing Clare at her apartment, relaxing, and DeAnna shows up. DeAnna is the Bachelorette from season 4. DeAnna and Clare chat and they kiki, and then ABC does this pan where they go from DeAnna and Clare hanging out to the guys hanging out preparing for the group date. And this is kind of weird. So the guys are optimistic, they're excited for the date, they're ready to see Clare, and they all really feel like they have a chance. Then Clare just gushes about Dale nonstop. All she can talk about is Dale, and she even grabs a pair of his pants and smells them and gives them to DeAnna so she can smell them too. I thought that was so creepy. Like, she said she got a pair of his pants because Dale ripped his pants and they gave him a change and she took those ones as a gift. That whole story just seemed way too convenient. Now, Clare is talking to DeAnna and telling her about what went down last night and after the Yosef situation, and Clare tells DeAnna, "I see Dale out of the corner of my eye and he swoops me up." Now, I really did not like this moment from Clare, touching back on what I was saying earlier, because Easy, Jordan C, Zack C, and Jay all tried to swoop her up first, and she just completely ignored them and went right past them. Now, in this video, I'm gonna go over all the horrible moments Clare had, and I'm gonna ring a bell each time because it was a lot. Like, Clare really did these guys dirty this episode. First horrible moment. These guys are really putting in a lot of effort, and Clare is not acknowledging any of it. Then, the guys are excited for a group date. Second horrible moment. Clare makes them wait for hours, and then she comes by last minute and says she decided to cancel the group date and they're just gonna do a long cocktail hour. Now, 2 things about this. The guys were traumatized by last night's cocktail hour. Now you wanna do another one that's even longer than the one from last night? And second thing, ABC may just be out of ideas. Like, they're in quarantine, so it's not like other seasons where they can go bungee jumping, they can go to dinners, they can go to local shops, they can do all these other things. Like, there's really not much for them to do, and then on top of that, I'm pretty sure ABC has to set it up. So it's possible ABC couldn't find anything in time. Also, they said Dale's name so much in this episode that, like, when I was taking my notes, at points when I meant to write Clare, I started writing Dale. Now they go into the second cocktail party instead of the group date. Now, I really like this top that Clare is wearing. The rest of the outfit is like kind of basic, but this is a really cute top. Now, to start off, Dale's like, "Let's all do a group hug for Clare," and it was just so awkward. Like, really didn't get it. Like, Dale, why? Then Dale basically asks the group if he can have 5 minutes of one-on-one time with Clare first. And this was weird to me because it was like he was asking all of the guys. You don't need their permission. Like, ultimately, it's Clare's decision. Then they go straight to Clare's bed. Dale is on top of her. He lifts her leg up. ABC, we need to do better. Clean this up. This is supposed to be family friendly. Then Easy shows up, knocks on the door, and interrupts, and it's like two 15-year-olds making out just got caught by their parent. Now, honestly, I'm just convinced that the producers did a really sloppy edit. So after this happened, they panned to another shot of a cameraman facing into Clare's apartment through the window, and you can see Clare's talking to someone, but you cannot tell who, and I'm pretty sure it's a producer. Third horrible moment.
Then she tells the producer.
Now, this very much came across to me like Clare does not want to be there. And I'm like, girl, if you don't want to be there, then don't. And it sucks because so many girls would kill to be the Bachelorette. Then they pan to a one-on-one with Clare and Ed. Ed is talking with Clare, and then Riley comes in to steal Clare away. And Clare says, I want to make sure I have enough time with all the guys. And I'm like, girl, if you meant that, then why would you spend 45 minutes with Dale? Now we have another one-on-one with Clare and Jay. During this one-on-one, Clare and Jay are talking and Dale interrupts, tries to get some more time with Clare, and Jay lets him do it. Now I'm starting to think Jay is a producer pawn because this same exact thing happened after the dodgeball game. Jay was on the winning dodgeball team, and then Blake M interrupts even though he was on the losing team, and then Jay lets him have some time, and then Jay goes and tells the other guys Dale's getting more time with Clare. And he did the same thing with Blake. After this, Chasen interrupts Dale and Clare, and then Dale goes back to the couch and the other guys call him out on it. Now the other guys call out Dale because he said he was going to be respectful and not monopolize all of Clare's time. And at this point, I'm really not liking Dale, like at all. Now we're going to another one-on-one date. It's an all-day date with Zack J. Now, before we get into this date, let me just say that Zack J is a catch. Now, he's from some place called Utah. Never been, but I heard it's nice. According to Instagram, he owns his own business and he's 37 years old, so he's way closer to Clare's age than Dale is. Also, he's very fit and has somewhat of a sense of humor. He's the one who did that fart proposal as the first impression. Honestly, I really felt like this guy deserved a chance. So for the first part of the date, it's a spa date and Zack and Clare get pedicures. Zack is a little ticklish. Now, I feel him on this one because during a pedicure, I do not like the foot massage part because I'm super ticklish too, so I feel his pain there. Also, when they were doing the pedicures, there was no shield between like Zack and Clare and the manicurist, which I was a little confused about, but whatever. And the entire time, Clare just kept saying the energy was off. Then they go to the pool, and honestly, this date overall was like kind of boring, but I really think it's because ABC does not have a lot of options for them. And Clare looks amazing in her swimwear. Like, she's so tan. Now, I don't want to body shame. This is not that kind of channel, but please let me know in the comments if anyone noticed this. Now, Zack J, his abs are super ripped, but his arms are super skinny. He's really skinny, and then he like has no chest. I don't know, I just feel like I go to the gym a lot and I just really have never seen like that kind of shape. Like, he was just really unproportional. I really don't know a better way to explain this. So then they're in the pool and Clare goes in for a kiss and just completely stops. Imagine I'm Zack J and Clare is my hand. So she just goes in and stops. Sorry, y'all, I wish I had better props to show this, but this is a low-budget channel. Then Zack J grabs her, like, chest, neck area, tries to stop her, and says, why'd you stop? Why'd you stop? Now, two things here. Zack should not have grabbed her neck. Like, he really shouldn't have done that. Second thing, Zack just kept pressing it. Like, why'd you stop? Come on, what happened? Like, why'd you stop? He just kept pressing it, and, like, I would have just dropped it and then tried to go to dinner, but he made it really awkward for Clare. Then Clare blames it on Zack and says he tried to pull away. Now, from what I saw in the clip, Zack did not pull away. If you guys out there saw anything else, please let me know below in the comments. Then we pan to a confessional and Clare says, if I want to walk away because I'm uncomfortable, let me walk away. Now, I think Clare went in for the kiss and then stopped because it didn't feel right. Most likely because it was not Dale. Now, Clare says she felt uncomfortable. That is completely fine. If you felt uncomfortable and stopped, completely understandable. Now, fifth horrible moment. Now, if you felt uncomfortable, that's fine, but don't go blaming Zack and lying on Zack saying he did something that he in fact did not do. Like, we saw what really happened on camera. Next, they end the pool date, and Zack and Clare are supposed to meet for dinner, but Clare never shows. Chris Harrison comes instead and then sends Zack home. Please let me know in the comments if you agree with this, but I really think Clare should have shown up for the date and then broke up with Zack. This really just seemed like to me that Clare was sending Chris Harrison to do her dirty work, and I just don't think that was right. What did you all think of that moment? Please let me know below in the comments. Now we're going into the first group date of the episode because the original group date got canceled, and it's a roast with Margaret Cho. And I really like this date. Now the guys all have to put together a comedic set for a roast, and Chris Harrison says the other guys who are not on the group date will be audience members for the roast. And the guys are shocked and kind of mad that Dale's gonna be there again, but at the same time, like, who else was gonna attend the roast? Like, y'all are in quarantine. Ben started off the roast, and he did a really good job. Like, Ben really started off the show right. Now let's talk about Ben for a really quick second. Ben has been putting in a lot of effort, but as a viewer, it's kind of like hard for me to watch because we know all of his efforts are futile. It's almost like a waste for him. Like, I really wish they could have put him on a different season where his efforts could shine and actually mean something. And Bennett probably goes the hardest. All the other guys loved his part of the roast, and at one point in his set, Bennett says, "Dale, your speeches don't make sense." And he's not wrong. Then Clare goes on to say all the guys are jealous of their connection and relationship. No, Clare. The guys have seen a side of Dale that you have not yet to see, and they're putting it out there, and you are just completely ignoring it. And this is the point where I'm just like, ugh, Clare just needs to go. Just make Tayshia the Bachelorette already. Like, I'm really over all of this nonsense. Now we're going into the third cocktail party. There have really been 3 cocktail parties this episode. Ooh, you know that sound? That's the outfit of the episode. Clare is wearing this yellow dress and her body looks amazing. Honestly, give me something bright with a ton of sparkles and I'm down. I really like this outfit. Also, there was so much confusion in this episode that I almost forgot about the outfits. Check below for links to where you can find Clare's outfits. Now, horrible moment number 6. Clare goes on one-on-one dates with all the guys, and all she can do is ask about Dale. And this was beyond disrespectful because a lot of these guys came from across the country. They risked getting COVID. They took time away from their jobs and their lives, and Clare is not even giving them a chance. And as a viewer, it's like really hard to watch that. Now, let me start off by saying this part honestly just seemed like a really sloppy edit from the producers. Like, they pan to a confessional and Clare says, all of the dates are about Dale. But I'm like, girl, all of the dates are about Dale because you made them about Dale. And I really think this was a sloppy edit just because normally Clare is more self-aware than this. But who knows? Then Clare has the group date rose and she gives it to no one. Then Clare gives the rose to herself. Then at the end of the episode, we have our savior, Tayshia. They show a clip of Tayshia coming out of a pool and she looks amazing. And Bachelor World is completely shook. That is the end of the episode and all I have for you all today. If you enjoyed this video, please pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. I work really hard on these videos, so if you could give me a like and a subscribe, I would be forever grateful. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. And by the way, next week's episode is on Thursday, I think because of Election Day, so my review will come out Friday instead of Wednesday. Also, one more thing. Chris Harrison dropped a line of wedding bands. I'll post the links to the story below. Thank you again for joining me. Have a good one. Bye.